Okay, let's take a look at this workflow. I'm going to be using two characters for this example, so we have a little bit of range and nuance. Step one is, of course, coming up with your character art. You can use any number of different image generation platforms to do this. I'm going to be using, of course, my Sorceress game creation suite image generation. The Sorceress image generation suite allows you to select any number of different image generation models at the same time and then just do a batch generation, so you can get an example of how each of the different models perform your request, and they can perform quite differently, producing quite different styles of art. What we're going to do here first is come up with our character, which we've already done. We've got this knightly Viking character, not really a knight, more of a Viking character, and we've got our little cute hat poof guy. So what you're going to want to do first, and this is quite important if you want to get really good sprite sheet results, which we're going to do in just a minute, is add this nice bright color chroma key screen. So in this example, I've said bright green screen solid color code. Okay, so those words exactly seem to produce really good results, especially when you're using the Nano Banana 2 model. This one gives you very consistent green screen. Okay, let's animate. Now, one thing I wanted to mention before we move on to the animation phase is you can notice on this character, which is going to perhaps be a character that swings its sword or does various attacks, I've got quite a bit of extra space on the right and the left. This is to give space for the animation. If he swings his sword, he's going to need some space in front of him to do so. So for this generation, I've used the 4:3 image aspect ratio. This guy here, he's not going to be swinging his sword. He's just going to be walking around. So I've put him into a square. That's perfectly fine. Okay, let's move to animation. I'm going to grab this guy and send him on over to our video generation page. Can be accessed up here. You can also download the image and then upload it from the video generation page. But for quick convenience, I'm just going to send over to video generation. That preloads it into my reference image area. And what I'm going to say here is walking in place. Walking in place tends to give pretty good results, but the important thing here is that I'm going to also select a duration of 1 second using the Grok Imagine video generation model. This is a feature unique to the Sorceress Game Creation Suite. The 1 second duration helps a lot when it comes to creating looping animations. What I've noticed is that walking loops, attack animations, jumping, whatever, they don't tend to take more than about 1 second of animation. Okay, so I think we've got some pretty good options here. I ended up adjusting the prompt a little bit and added with the slow stride of a knight in heavy armor, and I think that produced more of a kind of armored character style of walking gait. Otherwise, I was kind of getting these slightly too, let's say, carefree walking animations. I also added one here. This one is standing idle breathing, no visual effects. Grok did put a little visual effects with the breathing animation, but I'm probably just going to cut that out or just leave it. It's actually not too bad. It's kind of cool. Okay, so I've also added some character sword thrust attacks, and I immediately regret not giving myself a little more space to work with. We've got some pretty cool attack animations, but as you can see, there's not quite enough space for them. I probably should have generated these at a 16:9. The last one I was generating up was a sort of Street Fighter-like game, and the 4:3 aspect ratio was plenty enough for punching and kicking, but now that the character actually has a sword, as you can see, we're losing that sword off the top. Okay, easy fix. Just going to grab the character that I like, going to put it onto a, where is it, 16:9, and we're just going to regenerate, basically remake the same. And we'll get this onto a larger background. Remake the same, but actually, and make about 30% smaller. We'll make the character smaller and we'll give it more width. Okay, we've got our new walking animation, our idle, our sword thrust attack, and I actually found this nice little block attack that I thought looked pretty cool. Let's now move these on over into the sprite sheet processing phase. I'm going to select them all and then send over to Auto Sprite. This is going to allow me to process all of the frames from each of the videos, extract all of the individual frames, And now what we can actually do is use this corridor key, the perfect green screen removal system. This works extremely well. I'm going to run this on my local GPU, so it's totally free. As long as you've got a reasonable NVIDIA card, you can do this. And the green screen color key has already been auto-selected, and all I really need to do here is click on Process Sprites. We'll give this a minute or two, and we'll come back. Okay, so these have all now been processed. If I go ahead and I open one up and I take a closer look, we can see, well, if we zoom in really nice and close, we can see that corridor key green screen removal has done a really nice job with the edges. From here, I can actually choose to turn on frames, turn off frames, and prepare the canvas size in a different way. If, say, I wanted a different canvas size or a different fit of my character, see how it looks against the background. Yeah, and as you can see, that's just a very, very clean edge. Additionally, if I wanted to adjust the character's position within a frame, I could do so. I could figure out where I want it to be positioned. And the next phase that I like to do, now from here you could actually download that sprite sheet and have that ready to go exactly as you set it up, with some frames on, some frames off, etc. That's perfectly fine. You can also do what I'm going to do, and that is send these on over into the Sprite Analyzer tool, which is one step further down the pipeline. And what I'm going to do is select them all and send those to Sprite Analyzer. Okay, over here in the Sprite Analyzer tool, what we can do is we can detect the number of frames in our sprite sheet, and we can preview play how the animations are going to look. And the handy thing about this, let's zoom in a little bit, is that we can actually set and figure out really quickly and easily how to create a nice repeating loop cycle. So we kind of just add frames, remove frames, and look for that point where there is a nice loop. There we go, that's looking pretty smooth. It always seems to be a matter of taking a little bit away from the front, taking something away from the end, and eventually, usually, about 90% of the time, I find a nice smooth loop. Okay, I'm actually taking a look here and just noticing that the sword thrust animation has a little issue where the character is actually stepping forward and getting lower down in the frame. Luckily, I built in this auto alignment system, so if I toggle vertical only and click on auto center, it will straighten up that frame, either its height or its horizontal, vertical or horizontal. If the character is moving like a little bit forward or backwards, the automatic alignment system can be pretty helpful in saving otherwise perfectly good animations that just had a little bit of AI glitchiness to them. And so what I would probably do for something like this, which is a sword thrust animation that returns to a neutral position, is I'd probably actually get rid of that return to neutral position, right? Because usually attack animations are meant to be fast, and it's almost like you skip the return to animation, or maybe just have like a tiny couple of frames to sort of slightly visually illustrate that return to animation. But it's meant to be pretty fast, and I could probably say, okay, I'm probably not going to need that frame's a duplicate, that one's a duplicate, those ones look really similar. And I sort of find what works, and this animation preview updates real time. So now I've got a pretty fast looking sword attack animation that'll probably work pretty well. So that is basically it. Now at this point, when I go ahead and I can download all of these sprite sheets, the only information that will be downloaded is the actual frames that I have selected. So this will regenerate my sprite sheets based upon the new animations that I have selected. So all the extra frames that we don't need, that we don't want, they will just be dropped. And then what we've got down here is either this individual sprite sheet code or this multi-sprite sheet code, which contains all of the information about which frames I want to use, what the size of the frames are, how fast to play the animation, in this case 30 frames per second, everything that I've got set up in order to create the exact animation that I see in the preview. I can take this code, copy and paste it into my favorite vibe coding agent, and it will know how to set up these animations. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to head on over into my Wizard Genie editor. Wizard Genie is basically an early access available coding agent where we have access to all the different best coding models, from Opus to Gemini to OpenAI, etc. All the best ones are in here. And this is a project that I've been working on. If you want to use it yourself, you can download it as an early access project. It's still very much in development with a lot left to do and a lot left to come. You can also use something like Cursor or Visual Studio. Whatever you use as your AI coding agent, that's fine. So what I'm going to do here is actually create a little folder called Viking character, and I'm just going to drag all the sprite sheets for my Viking character into this folder. And then I'm going to grab that multi-sheet code that tells the coding agent how to set things up, and I'm going to say, this is a 2D animated sprite sheet character that I'd like you to set up. Put it into a temporary environment, sort of like a daytime environment, just a placeholder stuff. And here's the sprite sheet code that you need to see in order to use it. Set up WASD for movement, and an attack key and a block key, and that's what that needs. So we'll give that a couple minutes to do its thing. Okay, and there we have our character floating. I'll need to adjust the positioning here, obviously. Let's see, we've got our attack cycle. Our block cycle plays a little bit slow, the animations, so I might want to tweak that a bit. Probably should add a jump as well, but that is the basic workflow for setting up an animated character. Now, there are also some additional things you could do. Now, this is sort of an illustrated style character, but in case you want to do something more pixel art, I actually have a tool for that too. So here we are over in the True Pixel tool, and basically I have uploaded the same video that I uploaded before. What this does is it actually converts our sort of bitmap image into a pixel art version of our image. Now this is of course set to a relatively low number of pixels. I'm going to start out by removing the chroma key so that we have just our character. We can preview and play and see how that would actually look as a sprite sheet animation. So I'm going to enable edge enhancement in this case because I feel like it's going to add some more detail to our character. We're at 64 resolution here. Let's give that a quick look and see. So we've got our pixel art character, and we can also increase that resolution. If we want a little more detail, we can just keep going up and up and up until we get something that actually looks almost like the original artwork. But then, like I say, however many pixels you want on your character, you can increase and decrease that. Now, this one looks like a blob at very low resolution, but depending on your character, these can actually look pretty cool with certain types of characters, these lower numbers of pixel resolution. You can, of course, set the exact number of pixel resolution to get, exactly what you're looking for. So in regards to detail for the kind of game that you're creating, there's also some cool preset color palettes that are built in. There's Pico, there's Sweetie, Game Boy. So you got some classic old retro looks in regards to templates. You can add dithering, you can add a bunch of different interesting effects to really get like that classic retro art style. This is True Pixel, and then the rest of the process is the same. Send to Sprite Analyzer and do the rest and get the character into your game. So that's great for characters and animations. How about individual art assets within your game? So here's a set of potions that I generated up. So I'm going to send these on over to Slicer originally because I just want to quickly slice out those potions. I'm going to do these on a grid. There's that horizontal grid, and then I'm going to do the vertical grid. Save all of those all at once, just like that. And then what I'm going to do is head on over into the AutoSprite version 2 tool, upload all of these really poorly cropped potion sheets. Doesn't matter, that's okay. AutoSprite is going to take care of what we need it to take care of here. First things first, of course, we're going to process all of these with corridor key. Then we're going to open up that job of 12 different images, all placed randomly and poorly in wrong positions. We're going to change our fit to be square, and we're going to change our preset to be tight. And then you have perfect ready to go icons. You can download the entire sprite sheet, or you can download them as individual PNGs. Gentlemen and ladies, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Links to the Sorcerer's Game Creation Suite in the video description, as well as the Wizard Genie game engine. I'll see you all in the next video.